You're in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. Why you shaking? We're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory. Yeah, we've waited for our time to come, calculated everything we've done, we've upgraded. Now you can't outrun a champion. Now you're facing what? Can you hear them? Yeah, it's all for us. You believe them? Yeah, it's serious. Hear the siren. We're victorious. I'm telling you. Can I get a hell yeah? Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this.
Keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive.
Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
All right, welcome this morning, 3/27, 2020. It's Friday morning, TGIF, right? Okay, so we got the panel, we got the Oath of Four at 10, and we're just at 10 on the dot. Got a few things to go over here. And I did have it. All right, so today we're going to be getting into a couple different things. We're going to be mainly talking about invasion versus infiltration. And again, never take what we say here to be 100% fact or word at the Patriot Hour. We, especially on shows like this, we are giving you our best knowledge, or so much of it, folks. But again, we learn things all the time. So like, for example, yesterday, the mints. We were specifically trying to talk, just off the ones that are still active and currently printing. We find out West Point actually does commemorative coins. They don't really do any that are in circulation, and they're also a bullion holder. They'll hold precious metals. So as well as with San Francisco, very rare and commemorative things. So again, we love all of our viewers, and you guys are some of the smartest patriots we have ever come across, and we as well are always all learning things together. But again, that wasn't the main point, so thank you, Jennifer Baez, amazing intro. Thank you guys for being here. Prayers for everybody as well. Michigan's in the house, grilling, we got some mods. All right, let's get to the panel without any further ado. Again, if you're new here to the Patriot Hour, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you take a minute to do all that. So with everything coming out, there's so much information, folks, minute by minute, day by day, hour by hour. Patriots, fellows, veterans,
yes.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Brothers in arms.
Oh, we got the K9 unit as well.
K9 going down.
Birthday party today.
All right, I want to get
Oh,
everything.
boy, all right.
You guys can morning talk it up here for a minute or two, whatever. How's everyone's morning going? And the Patriots
So
out
far,
there.
so good.
Awesome.
Got my coffee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Coffee in hand, everybody. Coffee in hand. A little bit of bean juice, as Ben would say. And I might
Oh,
say
yeah.
that it's great to see Ben back. He'd been gone for a little while. He'd been on vacation, I guess you could say, from the show. But great to have him back. You know, very, very informative type person. Glad to have Greg here, you know, starting the panel off of 4. We have to thank Mike for all that because, you know, the
Holding it
genius at
down in the
hand, you
studio.
know. Yeah.
Mhm.
The mastermind. Ooh, Mr. Smithers.
You guys are too kind.
Hey,
No,
so
I
did you
like the.
did
Go
you
ahead.
get? Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. Didn't mean to step on you there. Hey,
No,
so
go ahead, brother.
yesterday I come across the Bible verse Isaiah 26:20. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
anybody read that, but I've got it brought up on my computer. Mike, do you mind?
Go ahead.
All right.
I watched
So this is a song of trust in God's provision, Isaiah 26:20. Go, my people, enter into your rooms and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourselves a little while until the wrath has passed. And it just so happens that we're in the year 2020, and yesterday was the 26th. So Isaiah 26:20, he's warning us.
Wow.
Oh, that's powerful. Yeah. If you keep on reading past, it also talks about in prayer and servitude and being
Yep.
out of taking yourself. That's where we get that whole idea of that we are living in this world, but we are not of
But
this
not of
world.
it.
That whole concept.
Right.
Yes. Well, it talks about also to steal your, steal your mind away from what's happening. So, yeah, great one. Great one. We all need a little bit more alone time with the Creator for sure.
Exactly.
Amen.
All right. I'm going to start like our just normal. Again, every day we're getting new people, as you guys know. So not everyone knows everybody. Again, like we talked about, we've been around for a couple of years at this point. In the beginning, it was me and Ben very heavily. We've had Scott, who was at least once a week for quite a while. All these people are still involved, folks. There's just some people get busy at certain times of their lives over a 3-year period. Even myself, it's like just a week or two ago, I was down for a week. Literally did very minimal, couple shows popped out in about a 2-week period. Everyone's like, where were you? What happened? Things happen. But Woodman, again, briefly give everyone a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself. We got about a little over 500 in the room at this minute. So if you want to go ahead and.
Airborne, everybody, good morning. Yes, I am the Woodman. All I can say really truly is I'm glad to be on this panel, to be involved in this. I did military stuff. I really can't say a whole lot about what I've done, but high security stuff. So I think that's why they have these people have me on this panel, because even though I'm like Grandpa Jones, I still have some kind of good positive input. Bottom line is this, people, we have to spread the truth. That's the hardest thing to do, is the truth. And we try to give it to you. There's so many avenues that we search and find our information. So sometimes we have to come back and change what we had said earlier. Normal, we're human beings. We're not, even computers actually mess up, but we're human beings. And we believe in God heavily, everybody. I hope everybody understands that too. That's the all input I got, except for God bless you all for being here and being awake.
We love you,
Amen.
Woodman.
We love you, brother. Ben, go ahead.
No, it's been a little time in the military in the Army branch. Did some fun things overseas. As part of OIF, OEF. Once I got out, I utilized the Montgomery GI Bill, like a lot of soldiers who are trying to better themselves and whatnot. I met Mike years ago, and we were both thinking outside the box kind of individuals and bouncing ideas off one another, and we've been doing that ever since then. And through Mike's channel here, I've been able to really meet a lot of really, really cool people. Greg, I met Woodman at our local Legion, where we're going to be having the Patriots Fest this year, August 14th and 15th. Grilling if you're out to get all the information out there, if you don't mind, brother. So I've been meeting so many awesome people, and this was just a natural step in the process to start getting information out, because Mike and I talk about garage talk all the time. We did that for years before it was like, we need to stop talking to one another and I need to get something going. I mean, it was like one night, boom, I got a channel, I got a video. All right, this is it. Oh my gosh, there's like 10 views. We were flipping out. 10 views, 10 people. That's more than me and you. So
Yes.
I like Woodman. I just feel so blessed to be here with you guys. And, you know, I've met Greg, your family. I mean, I'm in a state, they're in a state, you're down south. I mean, we can just come together. So this is really beautiful, and I just feel really blessed.
No, awesome. We love that Woodman and Ben are here today. I'm thinking this is something that we just kind of stumbled into as a joke. We all wanted to do a show the other day, and then I'll credit Greg. He was like, Oath of 4, and I was like, that's awesome. And then I'm like, the Patriot Hour Oath of 4. And that can shift times, folks. We're not, even though we all took the oath right now, we got schedules and things, so it can never really be, we can't tell you. And actually, this goes back to the Legion. We were talking about the 8 on, what was that called? The
48,
the 40 on 8th, the 40 and 8th group. And it was like,
40
oh, that sounds secret society-ish. But years ago, I'm at a local Legion, and this group comes, this guy's there, he's sitting down, and he's like, I'm here for the 40 and 8. And I'm like, what is that secret society? But it's actually, it's not. It's just for people that have over 40 years in the local Legions. They're a card-toting member that's 40 and over. And then there's a meeting that rotates, and it's at 8 o'clock at night on this certain day of the month, so every so many months. And it's just old school. And if you look into the history of the Legions, of when they convened, I mean, even our local one, remember 1944, I think you found that out, Ben, you know, as a little bit of history piece. But real quick, Greg, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself a little bit, like everyone else did.
I'm just here like everybody else, trying to spread some knowledge and some truth that we find through research. I was a Navy veteran. I served on the USS Enterprise as well as the USS Roosevelt, and then wasn't the smartest person and ended up going back into the military, this time the Army. But no, I love my service, don't get me wrong, guys. I learned a lot. I had a lot of things come to the surface as far as learning. And I did do some college while I was in the military on active duty, and I love my Constitution, I love my country, I love our history, and I don't want anybody trying to wipe it away and erase it. So instead, we're here writing it and trying to get everybody else to wake up and do their part to not be an enabler.
Amen. Nice. So that's as well. So I took my quick story as well. Yep, I'm Michael here at the Patriot Hour with these fine gentlemen this morning. Like Ben said, we kind of met back in school in 07, 08 in some computer courses, networking, administration. Both had just got out of the service. I met Woodman at the local Legion here that we are having the Patriot Fest at. Met Greg through the channel, and it's all probably for a reason. But we're here. Myself, I took the oath to country back in September of 1997. I was involved in the JFK Jr. plane wreck lookage for a 12-hour, or maybe it was a 24-hour period. Because I always say that because and not a joke, but the way I remember that is very sad. Because we had a soldier, we had 2 cousins on the ship. Okay, so you got to mind you, I was on the USS George Washington, 6,200 people fully manned up with all the squadrons. At any given time. So 6,200 people, 2.5 football fields long. We had 2 cousins come back on drunk from a port call, and one of them ran and jumped off the flight deck. Never to be found again. Drunk, whatever reason. We looked for about 8 to 12 hours. And I think we had to beat feet. And I was like, well, all right, notify the folks. Never found. And I was like, wow, we looked for JFK Jr.'s body for like 24 hours. And then other ships were taking over, and that went on for weeks. And I always had thought, but our own actual military member was only worth a fraction. So that's how I remember that. So anyway, we're here today. and we're always going to delve into different things. This is if I can get the little software piece, which wouldn't take me but a minute or two, so maybe by the next episode of this we'll have the phone lines up and we can get back to our phone calls at the end.
Yes,
because we love that. We love interacting with you guys more than just reading your comments and saying thanks and maybe reading a question, which is still cool, don't get me wrong. That's So anyway, we also, real quickly, the bandwidth. Are you guys experiencing, we'll take a minute to talk about the tech. People are in the chat, oh, my signal's horrible. Depending on whether you're on cell phone or Wi-Fi, we are experiencing some heavy bandwidth usage. Can anybody explain that? I mean, people are out of...
Everybody's home. They're on computers. Why do you think everybody got juiced, like more internet?
So what did we hear first, Ben? What did you get a notification of, if you can explain it? Tell everyone what kind of notification you got as far as, we're going to be doing
So I got an email, literally, probably, I want to say, it was 15 days ago. And it was a generic email from my internet service provider saying that due to the coronavirus and people are going to be staying home more, they want to up my internet by twice as much to facilitate children or those who have to work from home. And of course, they give the caveat of, we're doing our best to help you get through this crisis. By giving you free
what kind
internet.
of juice did they juice you, by the way?
So I have a pretty small connection because it's just me and two small boys. So I have I just do a 50 megabyte coming down and a 50 megabyte going up.
So
so
nice symmetrical.
It's symmetrical. They gave me 100. So for me personally, they actually doubled my plan totally for free. By the way, I just got a text today from Verizon. They've now upped my, I don't have unlimited because, I'm pretty frugal as much as I can be, like we all try to be in this world. So I had a 2 gig limit on data because I do most of my computer work. They upped that to 15 gigs. So we're seeing that all the information carriers are starting to open up their gates, thus creating, everybody's home, you guys. There's only 2 things they're doing at home, right? Watching TV or surfing on the internet, and sometimes that's the same thing.
Yeah, and if you're woke, you're typically not going to just sit there and surf TV, local news, or the big 4 news channels all day. You're going to want to.
The other 300 million will.
So, Greg, have you noticed anything where you're at down there now? So this is an awesome show as well. Having Greg out
Many
in a different
locations,
area. Yeah, we're different locations, all of us actually, so we get a little glimpse of what's going on here, real time. Did you notice any? Where you're at? Did you get the same kind of notification, or I don't know if you talked to your buddy, but as far as internet being juiced or anything?
I'm not sure. If they got a letter stating that they were going to get increased internet or nothing like that. But what I do know is that with all the children at home, the local school, we had to go and pick up computers. We had to go and pick up charge boxes and all the power cords, everything, so that they are able to do their schooling from the living room. So I know that they had to increase that, and my cell service is twice as good here now than what it was ever up in commie country.
Oh yeah, no, you're coming in better than ever. Woodman, how about you? You noticed anything?
The computer being slower, that's about all,
Oh yeah,
that's all I've noticed. Yeah. Well, then,
exactly
yesterday we had a hard time. Mr. L and I had a hard time getting back on because it kept shutting us off. You get on and you'd be on for temporary, and all of a sudden, bang, it'd kick you right back out again. So that's all I know about that kind of stuff. I'm not
and I think Ben's right. They put that out, but I think people that already, like myself, that had a huge amount. And then I got some other insight from some other people in other parts of the country. The other show that I do, I don't need to mention all the names, but just they were texting about the same very issue. And the one guy's like, hey, I had a gig, 1,024 up and 1,024 down or something. I averagely got about this up, 8 down. Same here. I get this, I don't have the symmetrical, but I have the huge amount of down, and that's down. Mine's down by 300 or so. So I think those of us that had a whole bunch of abundance Ours has been shifted back because to give out to everyone else, but I'm wondering if my bill is going to reflect this.
No, of course not. Of course not. This is
So you're up to, sir. You don't need all that.
You're
It's
up
like, I
to-
really don't. So there's no reason to bitch other than that they've slowed me down and given other people but it hasn't slowed me down much. It's not like when I go to upload a video that I needed the 8 or 900, it doesn't work any more quicker, really, folks. There's almost like a threshold of what my computer can put out, what the YouTube can take in. So
what I've seen, and some like just to put a little cap to this, is like I've seen more issues with people trying to watch like 4K videos on YouTube on their TVs, and it spins a little bit, or they're watching Amazon Prime or Netflix, whatever you choose, and it's going to take a little bit longer to load, and maybe sometime throughout the movie it may stop, and then they'll keep on going. And it just means they have an extra few million users on their platform at that moment in time. In the evenings, we all know, like in the mornings and the high flow rates. Now it's all day, so I mean, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, we're all getting juiced up
High
for a
flow
reason.
rate, that
They
just-
want us to get the information.
How much did they have in reserve? It's because it's like an 8-lane highway with information going out, information coming in. So if they control the traffic, they're releasing all this extra internet to people. How much extra did they have that they were raping our pockets for?
Billions, trillions, trillions. Well,
Oh, yeah,
Mike and
man.
Greg and Woodman, I mean, check us out, you guys. Mike and I, through our computer schooling, when we were learning about fiber optics, we were in when they were just laying residential fiber optic lines. And fiber optic, now just think about this. You're right, Greg. They've been grappling it. How much information can we send in a beam of light? Think about it.
Infinite
How
amount.
fast can it go?
Well-
And I got 50 megabytes, and I'm paying this ungodly price because I live in the country. And some people like Mike, who are paying like a high price for a gig, a gig?
Yeah.
Really? Can't these things transfer
wanted
at tera and pixel? Like this, the rate is crazy. So you're 100% correct.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then, one of the things that I did, I said I went to college, I went to subsea robotics right after the military, so I actually was working on learning the piloting for the ROVs that go down to the bottom of the ocean and work on the blowout preventers for the oil fields. Well, it was all fiber optic communication. So that's why they use the fiber optics, because the signal is not degraded as great over through light that it is through heavy metal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all of our continents are connected. There's no such thing as actually a wireless internet. Everything's connected by wire.
No, it's all wired under the ocean. It's all fiber optics.
There is no real cloud storage. It's just the name of it.
186,000 miles per second. That's the speed of light.
Yeah. Well, and
it varies with what medium it's going through. Light doesn't travel that fast through water, slows down, but what does go pretty quick through glass, though, which is what fiber optic is.
Yep.
So get a little tech talk for you guys. If you guys ever knew about this kind of stuff, for all the viewers out there, you just know that those of us on this panel, we all have our expertise in certain fields, and so when we come together like this is why we can really meld a lot of our ideas and our expertise or our fields of expertise really come to bear to complement one another. So it's crazy time we live in. That's why you're going to get a little bit of information on everything, but we're not going to pound a dead horse on one thing here.
All right, so we
Trying to
we're going
encourage
to
you to
jump.
research.
We're going to jump on. Yesterday, I had mentioned Justice Department indicted Venezuela, their basic equivalents of a president. Nicolas Maduro. AIDS on they got him basically on narco terrorism charges and conspiring to flood the U.S. with cocaine. We know with drug trafficking and narco terror, you're going to get the extended violence. I know some people would say just stay out of their country's business, but it's just like, well, their business was kind of affecting our livelihood.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
There acronym agencies working in Venezuela, and they made movies like
Hello.
Air America, and what was the latest one with Tom Cruise? So
yeah,
I would
Watch
agree.
that one.
We need to stay out of there.
I real quick before we jump into this, I have to bring up this, you guys. So I had texted them. We have a little ongoing chat now for this Oath of Four that we probably abused a little much for other things. But I would say that last night I watched the movie finally, The Hunt. It's new. It's supposed to be in theaters, but with everything shut down, they're doing the digital release, kind of like back a few years ago when they released that one about North Korea with Seth Rogen and all that around Thanksgiving time. But the typical elite, elites are hunting deplorables. Several people out in the regular world are in tune with it. And the one guy runs a podcast. There's one guy that they get that has the airborne hat on. This is hilarious. And they they all wake up, man. They all wake up like gagged, and they didn't know where they were and where are you from? They're like, I'm from Washington State. I'm from okay. So they end up running like through, they get away for a little bit. They get some guns given to them and they run through the woods and they end up at the store, but the store's all fake and part of it. They're like, where are we at? And the guy's pointing the gun and they're like, why are you asking that? And they're like, come on, and they're like, you're in Arkansas. I'm like, damn, they brought us to Arkansas. And it was all to play into the, but the girl's over there eating donuts in the store and then she starts coughing and dying because everything in the store, it's still on their acreage. They have hundreds of acres. And they call this like the mansion hunt, and they have a name. And the one guy's like, I ran a YouTube channel about it. And then the old timer there's got the airborne hat on. Literally just like Woodman. And at one point they get onto a train and they think they get out. And there's like, there's actual stowaways on this. And the one guy's all hyped out. He's like, what are you doing? And he's got a gun. And the one guy's like, we're just from Mexico. And he's like, oh, nice story there, Mohammed. And he's just totally off in the head. And when they get pulled over by the army, he's telling them, he's like, I know all about what's going on. They're all crisis actors. And he's just going on and on. It's got the workings of everything in it. It's a little hilarious. I'm not trying to promote
like the village and Contagion and Vietnam all wrapped up in one.
It is hilarious.
Airborne.
Yeah. You notice how he slid that in there.
Yeah, well, it's in the movie.
He's just reporting it,
Yes.
Yep. How about? Did you see the one on CNN with the doctor that was in the movie Contagion talking to Lawrence Fishburne? How about that, man?
Well, and we know that actor or real
Foreshadowing.
people will be cameoed in movies a lot, but typically, the old thing is it's like teach an actor fake karate for the movie or kung fu, or teach the actual real kung fuist how to act. And one, you're going to get the horrible movie with like maybe good looking kung fu, where you can teach the actor the kick and do it 100 times over to where it looks good anyway. So it's always easier to have the actor do the fake karate and then teach.
Or you just don't. You just hopefully. Well, never mind. I was going to say something smart, but I won't.
Good. He's learning. No, I was joking. All right, so we're going to move on here. Our point here for the rest of this episode is invasion versus infiltration. You guys, I want to show you. I guess I'll pull this up real quick.
The Q drip.
Yeah, we can go back to the Q drop. So 3900 yesterday, we get the chapter 115, treason, sedition, subversive activities. We got a New York Times link here. Let me. Went way down there. Boom. All right, so we got the 2381 that's telling you the different chapters or places to look up in the USC code. So we got treason, misprision of treason, rebellion or insurrection, seditious conspiracy advocating overthrow of a government, registration of certain organizations. I mean, what are we getting into here, fellas? Ben, what is your thought?
Alphabet soup.
Alphabetic
soup, yeah.
All right, can still
The fourth branch of government to me, undercover.
Well, it even goes on to say activities affecting the government. There you go.
So this is off the U.S. Code House.gov, and we were here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say about 2 years ago, we went over all of this real heavy, you guys.
Yep.
Like
Now-
that first one right here, if you go back to that very first part of that, Mike, where it says just a treason, a lot of that stuff, yep, whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war, that's just people. It's like, think about that. That's just a first thing. That's the very first thing to open up all this code.
Now,
This treason.
now they wrote this up really to be for the outside militia or man
Yeah.
that was looking at their illegal activities, which would have been like any of us under the last administrations, going back, I don't know how far, all the way back probably. I mean, to whenever 1871 at least, or further, I don't know, 1807. So the movies have typically portrayed a martial law. I mean, I don't agree. I'm not catering. I'm not doing jumping jacks for it, and I'm not doing cartwheels. I don't promote it. I don't want to live under that. But typically, how have movies projected a martial law, Greg? I mean, in your eyes, like it's always coming to get you, and just so, you know,
Yeah, it's always it's the good guys that we're worried about going down. You know, the martial law, the police state. You're only allowed to do this at this time. It's just control the people, control the food,
but what's
control
the end
people.
result of that? You know, a martial law indefinitely, or a martial law to maybe round up a certain portion of the.
I would say it was just to round up a certain amount of people that had done wrong, like maybe that were involved in high treason.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's. You can read that even within the government, even though these people are elected and sitting there, if they've worked with the enemy, if they've sold our country out, if they've made piss poor after piss poor decision that involved lining their pockets. I mean, Ben, what do you? I mean, does that apply to them too, or is it just an outward in thing?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, to the caveat, yes, the movies always portray that the Patriots get down and get locked up and the evil wins in that scenario. But when you read all these
Yes.
actual treason and seditions, what they don't highlight, but what is said in there is one word: domestic. So the whole thing is written for if these outside intricacies, right? Because we took the oath to
Foreign.
defend our foreign, to defend
Versus- and-
America
and
our
or
sovereignty,
domestic.
and or domestic. The domestic, when you're talking in this aspect about treason, they're going to label all of the aspects of treason. Normally falls on it because it's contract, maritime law with other countries, but they always give a caveat of domestic. That also basically saying we're not going to say the whole exact same thing for domestic. This action and behavior we are now looking and seeing what is law for. It now applies to you there, here, over there, come here, wherever you're at. If it's who you are, like if I'm an American and I go take vacation to Spain, and I just happen to walk to the embassy and say, hey, I want to become work for you guys. Boom. I'm treasonous activities because I fall under, I'm a United States, I'm an American. And so I fall under that. So my actions can be held accountable. If I same thing here. So I think that caveat of domestic really holds true. Most people doesn't click. We think foreign.
You just
Right.
I think this has to apply. It can apply. So what we're getting at here is like, so Trump was truly possibly, we didn't hold any prior office to getting in. He's just out of nowhere, decides to run. Possibly the way it looks, boom, he's been around, but he decides to run, he gets in, he wins the highest office of presidency without never serving in the military, never holding any prior local official, so
he was
that,
he was a
that
rookie.
could be with that well, that to me, and then if you can add that, if you don't, maybe he was a real true patriot for the last decade or 5 years, he really got into learning things, read these people just like us, we've gone down paths. I've read some, Edward G. Griffin books. Happen to agree with the guy. There's some other things I can point to that you read, and you're like, wow. And then you see that Trump must have read those because some of the wording that were stuck into these books from like 1991 from this one guy talked about draining the swamp a lot. So that mantra in that book is what Trump took on, what the mantra is running. And you can only imagine, like, man, he must have read that book too, or I don't know, maybe.
So, Mike.
So what I'm saying is people don't typically think anyone's going to do anything. It's got to be us. Well, if you set out a plan, even if you came up with this at home, like, I got a way to do this, and you got to set out and you got to do a certain step of things. You can, if you try to beat the government that was there, because you thought it was doing all these treasonous things. And then again, that's in the eye of the beholder. Some people are like, no, my life was great. I was working my business people were coming in. And it's like, well, yeah, but there's all these horrible things going on. Holes in the borders, kids missing, drug trafficking. The government done well at shutting down mobs, but maybe they became the mob at a really high level scale, and certain people within, not all, but they're actually involved in things that aren't so great. And we can see that decline. So we get into this multitude of invasion. So that talks about being invaded. Now, if Trump was to be the fifth person on our panel here and was thinking like us, I know the government's bad. I've looked into enough things. I actually got some access because of my connections and being like a kind of an elite at the time. I was able to go around to different parties and groups and listen and to these people's words. And I mean, bottom line, he's in, and then people, instantly think of that, without having the actual ties of him being a former official of any sorts. And it's like, he's not the one. So that would be probably pawned off on if Ben ran or if Greg ran or if I ever ran. The minute you're in, it's kind of the illusion of like, well, you're in, you won, you must be part of the system. There's no hope for us to be, it just seems almost too perfect. And people are like, hey, I'd like to believe what you say here, but I just don't have any actual hope that it's, or that it's actually going to happen. So what I'm talking about here is...
Wasn't he picked by the generals and so forth?
Did Trump infiltrate them? I can infiltrate, this system. And then also, is he allowed to use the insurrection? Because have we been invaded? Has our government been invaded by a certain coup? Has our country even been invaded by illegals? I mean, what is an invasion? Again, I'll go back to Ben on that, quickly. What do we know what textbook is versus, you can
So
get
let's
into
go
that a
what
little bit.
most people think an invasion is, right? They think Red Dawn, people coming in out of the sky with guns and coming at us, and you get down on the ground, and they're coming in from all areas, right? You're being invaded. Your space is being taken away. That's what most people, when you say an invasion, it's automatically storming the beaches of Normandy, D-Day. That's an invasion.
Physically, maybe
Physically,
they got the guy with the flag too. He's got to have their country's flag,
yeah.
And then you got the army in front, whatever.
That's a typical invasion. But can you do a digital
like
invasion?
Valkyrie.
Yeah, Valkyrie say that these movies could, because that idea is timeless. Invasion's been around since God created man.
So 20 million illegals, that's the government's numbers. I don't know how they have a number, but let's just
I think
use
those are
it.
padded,
20 to 30. Let's say 15 million.
that's a
to
good-sized
30
army of people. It's not a troop because they're not banded together in high training. An army of people is just a layman's term for a mob. Mob small. What about a multitude of people? I mean, we can use different words to describe the same thing. I do think having 20,000 plus people in a short period of time come into our country illegally is an invasion.
I think 30 million over a period of 10 years is an invasion too.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, any way you look at it, they're coming in here in massive numbers, and the American public is suffering. And that's what our government was there for, to protect our borders. Like, DC is only good for two things, you guys. We all know this here on the panel, but for you guys out there watching, DC was great for two things, and two things only: to do international business, to represent American people, and to protect our borders. That's it.
And we saw
everything
flip
else
out
is done
this
by
last
militias
time.
and National Guards. Yeah.
And when we tried to use our own troops for our own borders, we saw half the world cry.
We see what happened.
So is there Trump's wordage while running talked about draining the swamp, and there's a really nasty, crooked system. The Clintons are at the center of it with the foundation. The media is not anything different than a private organization with private interests now, just like any lobbyist group. You can't be trusted. You heard everything laid out, like he just said it, and just like everything else he laid out. I'm going to do this. I want to do that. We got to fix this. We should do this. And he's been trying to do the things that he hasn't been successful on is because of deep state, no name people, like the guy that got passed away. or whatever, no name. He
No
voted
namer.
a certain way. He tricked them, in that room. Like, is there anything with all of our own Republicans? We can pass this health thing, and everyone's like, no, we're going to pass it. And then he goes out and didn't vote the certain way. He lied to every one of his constituents to just really ram it up Trump's rear, and then everyone's like, oh, see, you didn't. Well, no Democrats voted on it. You didn't need any Democrats. Of course, they're going to all vote no. But you had enough within the Republican Party to do it, and then enough people, one guy didn't, and now you didn't pass it. So we see in the games and the things that he's tried to do, because he said he was going to do them. So this would be different, totally different than what he actually physically said. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We start seeing some of this to actually get to that point, do Insurrection Act, invoke it, and then to come after all of us. That would be the opposite of everything he said, right? That would be like, he lied, he tricked us, he's part of the system. Maybe
our right of habeas corpus. That's another thing I forgot to say when it comes to martial law. People think about that. And I think, Mike, didn't we have a definition? Or, I mean, I could quickly say it right now.
I do. I've got it up right now.
Go ahead.
All right. So habeas corpus. This is on definition.com.
What does it do for us? Yeah. What does it do for Americans?
It is a writ. It is okay. It is a writ requiring people that are arrested to be brought before a judge or into a court, especially to secure the person's release unless lawful grounds are shown for their detention.
So pretty much in layman's terms, the right that we all have as Americans, habeas corpus,
to know what our charges are.
Well, the writ, so that gives you the ability to go before a judge and say, I've been illegally detained and illegally arrested, or I've been legally detained and legally arrested. You have the right of representation and to be judged. You have that due process of saying, basically, it holds the state from acting lawlessly and sweeping everybody up in a martial law. So this has been taken away from the people before. For what reasons and when, and so this is also a part of the big scare of people who are pushing fear porn that say they're coming for our patriots, they're coming for your guns. Because yes, when you take away our right of habeas corpus, the writ of habeas corpus, now we don't have the right to exercise and say, you're doing this illegal and I'm being detained unconstitutionally. Let's go before a judge, and there's now actual criminal actions that you can take because you've been
held against your right,
held against your will. I mean, you have the right of property.
Like for 9/11, after 9/11, they have that right. If you're deemed a terrorist, you can be swooped up in the middle of the night, bag knapsacked over your head, and by the time you come to, you'll be in some foreign country in some CIA black ops site, and your family would never know. Like, they can actually, by the time they get the paperwork in and even try to push forward and get any, about 8 years can go by, and then it's like, well, he was put to death back in 95 or 2005. Like, what? Yeah, it's 2011. We're trying to figure out about him. It's like, yeah, we executed him in 2005. We found him to be terrorists. That was how deep they've already had some of these. So, like, it's just the people that have been waiting for, like, the chip or this very end date of government coming in and arresting all the actual good people. They've been building up all this stuff the whole time that they've been waiting for this one trigger event up here. They've been pasting and putting and doing all these incremental things all along the time. You can report on them, of course. But it looks like possibly we had somebody in tune with that, somebody just like all of us. And I never thought of the plan to actually become president and try to root this out. That never even crossed my mind. I just thought from the outside coming forth, the laws that they have would just, you'd be shut down quicker than a lemonade stand and,
So who's being infiltrated, Who's being infiltrated? We were infiltrated, but now that weapon has been turned around and used against them.
Yeah, I think we've been infiltrated. I think even in the 50s and 60s or 60s and 70s that we went over in our last Oath show or 2 Oath show or whatever, but, right? Don't we go over that, Ben? The 50s or 60s, 70s, the Army putting plain clothes.
When the Army had put plain clothes, they used the operation to keep tabs on people organizations and businesses that had what they called sympathy to the dissenters, and so the army used, I believe, a couple thousand soldiers in plain clothes to infiltrate or go undercover, however you want to call that, into these organizations, not for a day, for an extended period of time to collect massive data.
We talked about that the other day with Kent State.
Kent State, yes. See, they were there. They talked exactly. So this is what I got pulled up. One of the last times, I mean, not one of the. I know that I don't know about habeas corpus, but we've gone into during Katrina. We've gone into right after 9/11. Right after 9/11 at some airports. Bush, the second Bush, G-Dub, he did some of this, and then also the first Bush during the riots in L.A.
L.A. riots. Yep.
Yeah, and so people were like, oh, they took guns or whatever. We talked to the Katrina people. We had actually call-in show on that, I remember, and we were like, okay, we got some actual Katrina survivors of martial law or a form of it by the governor. And we talked about guns. People were like, no, I stayed inside. I didn't get knocked on the door. My gun is still here to this day. And we're like, okay. So it kind of worked out. They actually enforced some things because, I mean, I'm not for that. But I'm also not for when the minute something pops off, the people that claim to be patriots are now getting guns that they have a right to have, and I'm all for. But then I'm going to turn these on average man. It's been 2 hours into this crisis. It's time to take some crap. It's like, okay. And then everyone's like, well, that's why everyone's got their own gun to ward that off. And that's fine. Again, at this day and age, not even people that have protection are maybe a little weird about just blowing heads off just because it turns into that. Like, you should have a gun and you should be prepared, but not,
Murder and shooting somebody never comes natural, people. Just know that. So nobody wants to have a civil uprising. Nobody wants to defend
people that sit there and play that all the time. You go visit your buddy and they're like, I'm just waiting for someone to break into my stuff. They're going to actually be the one that breaks down after they shoot somebody. They're going to
because this time we're not killing an enemy. You'd be fighting your brother and sister, American citizen.
Yes.
Amen to that.
You don't want that. And I'm not saying, you need this protection. That's what it's all set up to be already. It's already there. You got to let those systems, sometimes we've seen them work. They come around. And yes, if there's huge amounts of civil unrest, they might jump in. It's like, I don't want that. That's scary. I don't like the civil unrest either. That's a little unscary. Why does the average man have to break down like mentally? So hey,
lately, I don't know, Woodman, maybe you can comment a little bit on this. I was reading in a lot of these states, there's been issues by the sheriffs and to the sheriff's deputies and the police officers not to enforce petty crimes and misdemeanors due to the pandemic, or I should say plandemic. So what do you think, Woodman, if the police officers who are supposed to enforce the rule of law and civil peacefulness, they're coming out and saying that we're not arresting for misdemeanors, and that's like breaking and entering, shoplifting, so all this stuff. So I mean, if you're not doing it, Woodman, what do you think?
I think it's crazy how they started doing that, and it's spreading from state to state. I don't. Here, if you follow their plan and stay inside, then you won't be affected anyway. I don't know. It's a prime example of how local government can screw you around. I guess, in a nutshell.
Too much involvement. They can flip a switch and your whole economy's.
We always say, if you get into your local economy, take care of family, go to your neighbors, and then start getting in your local. That's crazy, you guys. They're outright saying it. I mean, in the L.A. riots, the cops pulled out of the city of L.A. They actually pulled out. I mean, if you go back and look at those riots, they actually put an order in and pulled out and deemed that area of the city martial law. And there's even pictures of people. There was this Korean grocery store that a bunch of veterans suited up in full battle rattle with armed to the teeth. They were standing on the roofs and right in front of that. And they had their own they had their own barricade, the whole 9 yards. They got a good operational position with the high ground. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
I remember
nobody touched that Korean it was a Korean grocery store because that's where they got their groceries and their stuff from.
That's the most well-known one of the clips they were showing. This guy stood arm out front.
We all know about that.
That's great.
We have a right to protect. We have a right to protect those people, those businesses. You know, we're Americans. These are our brothers and sisters. This is our economy. And if somebody wants to come against that, we have the right to stand and say no. This could be like you guys were talking about, you know, the people that were there and protecting those people. Well, this is a plandemic, you said? So maybe this is a way for us to feel out the bad, pull them out of the woodworks.
Well, I would just put it this way, like, if anyone was ever so in tune with what was coming and what you thought, you know, there can actually be this other plan as well. Like, and I'm more so talking about, you know, if you believe that there are very evil people within our government that have sold it out, just keep it on that level. The treasonous deals, the SAP program, access, the selling out of our country, just all that. That is real, and we possibly have somebody here at this point trying to take that down, which is all real. It's like, well, this never happened before. Well, actually it has, because we can go back to when Abe Lincoln did it. Yeah. So there's a time where it's like they inflicted these things, and it's like, and who did they go after? The average man and woman. I know there's lots of people arrested during this period. I don't know how many charged at the very end, how many actually, you know, received like any kind of death penalty.
Lincoln's habeas corpus, when he basically took that right away. The history books tell us
it was only in
that
certain places, right?
It was only in, it was like he wanted to arrest the Virginia governors because they were trying to succeed. So he threw habeas corpus in the city of Virginia, not the state, the city, rounded them up and arrested them. Why? Because they were trying to go against the Union at the time he was trying to form. Because, you know, I mean, and we all have our own opinions about the Civil War, what it was really about. And that's something that's for a whole different show, a whole different time. But so yes, he didn't, and at the time the country was broken up into two factions, and we had territories, not states yet. So we know of that, but Abe Lincoln didn't round up everybody in the Northern Union and say, all right, no more rights.
Yeah.
Now, 1871, that's different. So
what was
part of the plan. I don't know, man.
Yeah, because that was back in
1871.
Like the 60s. Well, yes.
1860 something is when, again, these, you know,
1871.
we go so much history and dates here. Again, and we'll always say this: we will never lie to you. We are not lying. We may be wrong on some points, but we're not lying to you. There's a huge difference. So that's why
no intentions of misleading.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Our intentions are to encourage you to look these things, search out a matter for yourself, because the truth is what's going to set you free.
Okay, so here we go. This is let me turn Greg's mic off. All right, so President's proclamation: the habeas corpus suspended throughout the United States in certain specified cases by the President of the United States, September 6, 1863. There's an actual old New York Times article, and this is coming out of that. So whereas the Constitution of the United States has ordained that the privilege of writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. The whereas a rebellion was existing on the 3rd day of March of 1863, where rebellion is still existing, and whereas by a statute which has approved on that day was enacted by the Senate and House Representatives of the United States in Congress assembled, that during the present insurrection, the President of the United States, whenever in his judgment the public safety may require it, is authorized to suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus in any case throughout the United States or any their part of or part thereof. And whereas, in the judgment of the president and the public safety does require that the privilege of said writ shall now be suspended throughout the United States in cases where, by the authority of the president of the United States, military, naval, or civil officers of the United States, or any of them, hold persons under their command or in their custody, either as prisoners of war, spies, or aiders and abettors of the enemy.
The betters.
So come on, guys. I mean, what's that putting out there?
Largest mass treason event in
that in
history.
my head would be like some of these people we've gone over for the last 3 years. Not my patriotic.
No, it was interesting. It was a whole entire.
Not
he had
great.
the right for the whole state.
I don't have a fear
not
that
great.
Greg's going to be, stuffed, cuffed, and
Bagged and tagged.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
we'll bag them and tag
It
them.
wasn't me.
We won't use shackles. It's
Get
the
'em,
old
Bruno.
good
What do they call
Ziploc
'em?
hog
Dano?
tie.
Bag them,
Book 'em
Dano. Book them down.
Who's got the extra set of zip strips?
Yeah.
Zip cuff.
Oh. So
Guys are killing me.
we could see the scenario here. Now, even this buildup, though, this cluster in, it's like, I don't believe that Trump did this. I don't believe that. Well, so Trump orchestrated this whole fake thing we're going through. It's like, no, I believe that would be the enemy. They orchestrated all this. This is another FF, a typical FF, actually not typical,
Huge
pretty extreme. End time scenario for them type thing, maybe, really big last
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary. We know these people
Kill as
were,
many as they
are-
could.
they need to be prisoners of war. We're in war, so they can be prisoners of this war. They're spies.
Yep.
They're aiders and abettors. If you know of something and you don't do the right thing when you're in the government, you're guilty.
And we know that if you're aiding and abetting, you can be doing nothing and be guilty by association.
Yeah, if you ain't doing the right thing
Yep.
for Americans, then you're just doing the wrong thing. It's the bottom line. That's not a hit to the rest of the world. I'm just saying.
That's the American policy. America
That's-
first.
Yeah, when you take the oath, it's to our government, to our people. You don't bend
To
over
our rights.
backwards for everyone, and that's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
You can point them out. And the people that line up
The
with
world.
them, the people out here in the actual real world that watch TV and like what Pelosi says, you are very misconstrued and very wrong.
You have
We're here
a
to
very,
protect,
very,
honestly protect.
Mm-hmm.
You have lined up
a very
with
ugly,
the enemy's
ugly look
mentality.
outlook on freedom.
The enemy's mentality has been that's what the issue with these corporations in states now, or however the hell they're working it, where the corporation headquarters ends up overseas, I don't know, in China or something, however they're doing this, and then that agenda gets pipelined right through into the companies, and then you get these mentalities, and the pitch has always been, it's like when the illegals are shutting down the borders, and then you get the Hollywood stars, the politicians that are for it, and then the corporations it's one big circle jerk. And the reason that the corporations come out like Walmart, they act like they're so compassionate for the actual person. And they've always kept it about just the hungry person crossing the border, which is nothing to do with. It's really to do with the flow of people or drugs, the trafficking. And you can put humans to it or drugs. And that's what it's always been about. But they'll play on this heartstrings of like, oh, you're not compassionate. It's like, well, you guys profits and how much stores you have. You send food and money down there. And if you really cared, and they don't. It's only about when it comes down to push and shove. And they give the illusion that we care, don't you? But they really only care about allowing it to continue. And they played with you. They play with your heartstrings. They played it as good as Ben plays the guitar.
PR.
Probably better.
I think maybe a little better, It's hilarious. So, all right, where are we at? We've kind of covered a lot. I mean, that's just a little dog.
We have.
Some of that, me and Ben talked about it, and it's like, I got, some videos. We did it 2 years ago. Throughout then I came out with another one. I have a hard time finding these and the Fed and the whole just some of that system or this habeas corpus. I don't promote it. I don't like the fact of martial law. I don't like people being stuck at home, not being able to, leaving and having Humvees with roadblocks or anything like that. I don't promote it. I don't want it. But if we have wicked people in this country, I don't know of any of these other people in the truth movement that have really given, they're not actively trying to topple it. It's reporting on it as well, I guess. But it's like we're seeing this other scenario pan out. Maybe they're just missing it. Maybe they're still just stuck on it's coming no matter what. But we're seeing, hey, we might have had a Patriot infiltrate. Is it possible to have how else would you do it? How much better way to be to get in, win presidency, and be that virus that gets them? That is a mastermind level I never even thought of. I didn't think it existed. I didn't think it was possible. I always thought about,
we stopped fighting because wasn't it Mike and I, we've even said this to Woodman, and it's hasn't the government gotten too big for one man to fight with a small army? It's too big anymore. It's literally, it's growing out of the average man's control. That's why this is almost, as you knock your brain around, you think, well, is there any other way? Our government has gotten so large that it has gotten, and we've given it all that power. Now it's too powerful, and now you can't just, every vote counts. No, it doesn't.
Not everyone's been sleeping, folks. I know a lot of you have woken up over the last few years. You could look at your own self and say, man, in the last 3 years, a Patriot Hour helped me. Whatever. We all work together. Other channels have helped you come to these conclusions and learn lots of things. And you've come to these if you were on the outside of this and you had an evil system still running and you even try, I wouldn't have started this channel. I wouldn't be here if I didn't see what I saw going on. Yes, I've known the New World Order plan, and now I've seen this Patriot plan. And I'm thinking it's coming to a head. Other people don't know about the Patriot plan, or that cannot exist, or they don't have it in their head because they haven't seen enough of the evidence. They're going off day to day, what they see in the news. That is a battle in its own to try to watch the news and decipher what's real and what's not. They give you some truth, but a lot of it's not. But there's been other sources to get this story, folks, and it's very clear. I have all the faith in just my research that it leads to actually good people getting ready to get bad people. And that does exist. We have had a lot of bad people. I would say the evils won a lot of this with all their false flags and the deaths and the wars that we've had. They've been in control for a very, very long time, and they've won long enough. And we can have a little bit of time for some good. Somebody threw a fork in the plan. I have no fear that they're going to be knocking on doors of my fellow patriots here and asking them questions and wanting to arrest them. This is for the prisoners of war, the spies, the aiders and abettors of our country that have sold us out. That's my take. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to push that into the airwaves and hope it catches on for other people.
We are fighting it by doing what we're doing right now, Mike.
This is our
way of fighting back. It's the only way we have to fight back, and God bless you for doing that. You and Ben kind of get this thing
we vote
off
them
the ground.
Out, right? I mean, worst case, we vote them out. Everyone's like, well, they're not in jail. It's like, are they up there running anything anymore? No, but I'm in jail. That becomes, we have that issue here, don't we, fellas, with our local thing that we don't, it's like, I want somebody in jail. They're not there anymore.
Deep Swamp, local organizations that get because of who they get off. I mean, yes, we've seen that in our own personal lives.
It's a big battle.
It's a long train of abuse. Yep. So that tells you, right? Our own thing. Remember, like when our governments become too overpowering, too over abusive, you have the right to knock it down, take it off its pedestal, rebuild it from the ground up, and make it work. The Second
Amendment. Yep.
So could that be happening? It's written. These old timers knew about this day coming, possibly. Government that's too over controlling, too overpowering, too overbearing, not for the people, of the people anymore. So is Trump that guy? Did he infiltrate? And it's you could, and then you look at some of these other things about invasion. Have we been invaded? Think about it, folks. It's just something to marinate on here. I'm going to be back all weekend. This is my weekend of actually doing shows, so look for one later tonight. We're on lockdown. Where am I going? I'm going to be partying right here with the people.
Hey, this is another. This lockdown could be a blessing, man, for all of us to get back with our families, to play video games with the kids, to goof off, to just get that family unit reconnected.
Yeah, no, this is,
I agree.
I think this time as well could be for everyone to be at home with your loved ones. With some of the news coming out, so we all know, all of us, we know things, but it's like on the average, some people don't delve deep political with their friends. Like, if you think back to when you were kind of sleeping, it was the last thing you talked about, shows and what movie star, who married who, and that's what they still talk about. So that can be this whole group of 20 or more, and then things come out and it's like, I liked Obama, why is he getting arrested? And then the other people are like, screw him, man, he's bad. That it's like, maybe as some of this comes out, it's a way to be with your family and take some of it in. And I don't know, that's just my other little thought. It's like, not
maybe
bad.
spend some time red
Give it
pilling
some
the
time to
neighbors.
set in some of these arrests of your favorite stars that you've been following your whole life. That's just we haven't seen any arrests yet, so I mean, on the forefront.
Hey, I'm just happy that you talked about Greg and Mike, and we've said this, we repeated this many times, but this is a unique time to be with your family. And are they going to be sitting in the front of the old boob tube watching sports?
Nope.
I don't think so. I'm so excited that all that sport, bread, and circus is gone under the same idea as it arose, right? Just, just out of
Moderation.
nowhere.
None of that's deemed
Moderation.
essential.
So you start looking at
correct.
all of the major things that are
The
closed
grocery
down.
store bagger's essential more than the.
He's the grocery store. You guys look at every business in America. Now hear me clearly now. Every
You're
business
essential.
in
You're
America
important.
is essential. Why? Because you are in the United States of an American. Okay? You are essential for the economy to run. Do you see the spells they're trying to cast on you? If I got a guy down in the street that says selling shoelaces is essential because you're a human and you need shoes and it's essential, like I had laces, you're essential. So you see a lot of this stuff people do are self-quarantine and self-done. But for the first time, they're going to start realizing a lot more because nobody's all hooked on who's playing sports, who's doing this. I mean, I think the worst we're going to have is a bunch of day drinking.
Yeah, we got a lot of people's attentions right now. The internet's laggy because everyone's at home on the internet digging and looking.
Yes.
Google's been opened for you to look. As things come out, you'll be able to search more freely and honestly. That's all we're trying to do here. Again, Ben said it good earlier. We don't ever try to. There's a difference of we all like before we go live, like, oh man, that turned out to be a lie. Well, you know what? I don't care what they say. It's a lie. I'm pushing it and I'm going to slam it down these people's throats, man. That is very malicious and
That's
evil.
mainstream.
We
That's
don't do
mainstream.
That. That's mainstream.
Yeah, we ain't playing that game.
And remember, history was written by the winners, and it's his story. His story.
on now.
The winner's story. His story. The losers aren't typically around sometimes, or they're locked up, or they're just not around to give their version. So, we're going to wrap it up. We're at an hour 10. Let's go ahead and look at everyone give a shout out. I'll pull that up on the screen here. That's always fun.
Mike,
No,
before
sir.
you jump to that,
Yes, sir. Go
the
ahead.
gentleman that was the gentleman that did the stencils for you. I'm not sure who he is, but I need to get in contact with that guy.
Is it
for the
Warren
painting,
Fab
you know
and
what I'm talking
Designs?
about.
I got this guy that welcome to Tier 1 support. Warren Fab and Designs.
Fab and Designs. Is that the same guy you're talking about?
I actually have
the
his
one that
stuff
did the
down here.
beer bottle openers,
Yeah, it's right behind me here.
and then the big Trump skull Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
I need
right
to
there
order
behind
one
me.
of those Trump skull Punishers for the paintings.
Hey,
for
brother,
the,
if he's in
Patriot
the
Fest.
chat right now.
He's in the
why
chat.
don't you
Warren
put all
Fab and
put all your-
Designs.
Warren Fab and Designs. That's me. Look at Warren Fab and Designs. Put out your information, your
Email me.
emails, website.
I
Get all
want-
this information. So
On the
get your
next
stuff out of here.
episode, I want to be able to pull up your. I don't know if he's got the website, but I know he sent me he's on Instagram or on a couple of different. If you have a digital Just email me your
He
digital
could email
logo
me.
and your information, because that card actually gave out. Like, somebody needed it, already wanted it, so you should be getting another job. But somebody's like, I was take it. And I was like, I got this stuff, and I got a letter from them, and here you are. Anyway, get a hold of us. We appreciate it. All right, let me pull this up on the screen.
I'm going to do Patriot Fest this coming summer, and I wanted to have that. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
All right, you guys know the drill. Go ahead and give us a tell us where you're
So I'm gonna be
logging
saying
in
here.
from.
Voted number 1.
Well, thank you, Grilling. Put the information out there.
Tampa, Florida, Melody Ann.
Tampa, Florida,
Ohio,
Massachusetts,
Massachusetts, Kentucky,
Kentucky,
Belfast,
Belfast. I know who that is.
Darren, Carson, Colorado Springs, Venice, Florida. Go ahead and yell them out, you guys.
Lord, number 1
Bluesburg.
live show on YouTube.
Gallipolis, Ohio.
Number 1 live show.
Cali,
If we're the number 1 live show on YouTube right now, go ahead and put a 1 in there as well. Texas,
a 1
Washington
in
State,
Indian.
East
UP.
Tennessee.
Upper UP.
Upper
Yep.
Missouri, Upper.
No, UP,
Yeah.
Michigan. Upper
UP.
Peninsula, baby.
Oh,
UP.
yeah.
Number
UP,
1.
baby.
Wrong acronym.
Vermont,
Kentucky.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Pace.
Kentucky.
We got a lot of number 1s rolling in Big
Nottingham,
Ohio.
England.
North Dakota,
All right.
Colorado,
Nottingham.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
The Patriot Darren Carson should have a wrench. I don't know where that is.
I don't know that. Arvada, Colorado. What's up? I'm here, Florida.
Delaware.
Indian.
Rebecca Sunny Woods. You keep on saying, is it Indian? or Indiana? Either way, they're both cool.
They're both
Yeah,
very
you know
cool.
And
Colorado Springs.
Wisconsin.
Coming, the
Heaven.
Patriot
I
Hour.
like that. Colorado
Patriot Hour.
Springs, Georgia.
Fest.
Oh, heaven.
New York, East Texas,
Texas.
Atlanta, San Francisco, Treat, Whitewater Territory,
Jacksonville, Arkansas.
Wheat Ridge, Colorado, Jacksonville, Arkansas,
Magalaska.
Hammer Time, North Kakalaki,
Thornton, Colorado. Ohio.
Rochester, New York.
Interlaken, New
Kentucky.
York, the heart of the Finger Lakes.
The Heart. Payson, Arizona. Great little place.
Man, there's a lot of New
Ohio.
Yorkers in here.
Glasgow, Scotland. Indeed,
Wyoming
Watson.
in the house. We got you guys from across
Tyler,
the
Texas.
pond in Ireland.
How's it
Nice.
going?
Tyler.
Ohio.
Tyler, Texas. Godspeed, Patriots. Bloomington, Indiana.
Loving it.
In the
Loving
house.
it.
Massachusetts.
Thank you, Grillin. Keep
Florida.
on doing that a
Texas,
few
New Hampshire.
times.
Texas.
Yeah.
South Jersey.
Arkansas.
All right.
Antwerp, Belgium. Mount Rushmore.
All right. Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland Rocks. Cleveland
What up,
Rocks.
Arizona.
Indianapolis.
Peoria.
South Florida.
Aurora, Arizona.
Rhode Island. Vermont.
Brookfield, Vermont.
Vermont. All right. Love it. Worldwide. Love
Worldwide.
it, Christian boy.
Old Missouri and
East
Whitman Air Force
Tennessee.
Base. Oregon. Loving it.
From the
Loving
studio. Patriot Hour.
it. The Patriots.
I've seen that.
From
Mike.
live
Nice
in
plug.
studio. Thanks, Grillin. You're the best, brother, dude. Just get that. You just every once in a while keep on throwing it out there because everybody's looking at. We may have 550 people come to the Patriot Fest because we're all looking at it right here.
Looks like we got some.
Nevada.
Finland. Pete Ala Pajori, what's up from Finland? You're awesome. Love you guys. Love all of our Patriots from all the different countries coming in, man. We
International Space Station.
ISS.
Jeesh.
being filmed in Hollywood somewhere. Good to have you here. God is great, Frank DeWalt. New Orleans.
God is laughing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Newport,
Walmart
Michigan.
TP aisle. Checking in.
Checking in. Grilling the basement.
Grilling from the basement.
Grilling in the basement. That's not very
But
wise,
here's the difference,
brother.
folks.
Hello,
Is it
Finland.
his mom's basement or is it his basement that he owns and pays for? That's the difference, folks. That's the difference.
What now? What did it say?
snowflake.
What did it say?
He was like, he just said, we're coming from the basement. I'm like, cool. But the difference, folks,
Your
is around
mom's
here,
basement?
Patriots
Yeah.
own their own basement. They also
That's
own
funny.
the upstairs too.
Yeah.
You're awesome, grill.
What happens if your house doesn't have a basement?
Uh-oh. Then you can't be a basement dweller.
No snowflakes allowed.
Cleveland rocks.
Hello to France.
Cleveland
What is
rocks,
up, man? You guys
Cleveland
totally
rocks.
EU
Burbank,
coming up.
California.
Yeah, Burbank, Southern Ohio, Planet X.
Planet X. Proverbs.
Yes.
Raining in
Man,
it.
hey, Planet X, are you guys getting closer?
It never rains in Southern Cali.
Nice.
CERN. Checking in from
I see the
CERN.
Patriot Fest there in August 14th and 15th. Go ahead, give us an email. Be the Patriots Fest 2018 or 20. Is it 2020? We put on Patriot Fest 2020. Grilling's
Yeah, Grilling's got it going.
You guys. Yep. Just keep
Grilling's
on
got it
emailing
going.
us if you want that.
North
Delaware,
Carolina.
home of Sanel Biden.
Patriots
Hey.
Fest 2020. There it is with an
Hey,
S.
Twan.
Grilling's
The
got
next
it there.
folks. I think we're all going to be there. Yep, Grilling's holding it down. Now I'm going to be there with all my get fiddle and my bells on and all my patriotisness. I know all you guys are going to be there
How
too.
close
We would
is-
love to have all you guys.
How close is JT Wild to getting the funding and stuff he needs? Has he said anything?
He's coming anyway.
I think we're. I think
he's coming anyway.
It's there.
It's a
Yeah.
done deal. It's pretty
sweet.
much. Yep.
I'm not saying he's there, but
I can't wait to meet him.
Well, like
as
I said,
long-
pending
and this
on
is going to be
what's
months
happening.
before the election, folks, and it's going to be a good time. I mean, geez.
You know it.
I mean,
we're gonna-
Mike and I were talking about most people are canceling all their vacations, all their summer break or their spring break, all this kind of stuff. So what's a good time to release all this pent up frustration and show how patriotic you really are to your country and exercise that right to assemble? That
Gonna be the best
and
4th of
come on
July
out.
ever.
Going to be a good 4th too. Yep, this should be a really good 4th.
I can't wait to see what he does. Isn't he? The president's going to be having a thing out there at Mount Rushmore, right?
Mount Rushmore.
You know it.
And we got
I
somebody
think-
that got a hold of us. Remember, right from there, like that little.
Yep. Those are the base. Yeah, or real close to the monument. Hey, if you want more information, I guess I don't. Maybe not to stir the pot a little bit, and before we go, but look on JFK Jr.'s magazine, George, about the 2020.
You got the picture of Mount
Right,
Rushmore there.
fireworks.
You got Hillary.
Just saying. I mean,
indictments.
just stirring the pot a bit.
Hillary indictments?
I
Question
wonder
mark?
I wonder what president's going to have his face put up there with the other 4.
It's always interesting to research why those 4 got put up in the first place. That's an interesting little rabbit hole to go down, folks, and you'll know why it was
Yeah.
there to begin with. Interesting.
All
Peace,
right.
guys.
We're going to shut this one down, you guys. Great episode.
Love you all. Pray for
Airborne,
y'all.
everybody.
Yeah.
God bless everybody out in the chat, man. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, airborne to that, man. Airborne to that. Pray, pray, pray. Keep God on your side. The full armor of God. Read your Bible, man. Come on, we got time. We're locked in. You know,
Yeah, you got
gee
nothing.
whiz.
You got nothing better to do.
No excuse, man. You know.
Something's
Thank you,
coming.
Mike. God bless you. Yeah. Something's
Love that
coming.
new
Yeah,
JT
stop it.
Wild
Later, guys.
Have a good one, everybody.
All right, you
Have a
guys.
good one,
We'll
you
see you
guys.
back
Love
then.
it.
Peace.
Peace
Patriots.
out, man. Love you all. Love you all.
Love all the
y'all.
Patriots out there. You guys have a great day. Enjoy your Friday.
And enjoy some of the Patriot Fest music in our closing with JT Wild.
Airborne to
Yeah,
that.
this one's not JT, but it's
Oh, it's not. Oh, I
Probably.
thought it was. Okay. Well, either way, you're going to see him too at Patriot Fest. This is
I'm
another
going to be
awesome-
making one with
Airborne.
JT. He wants me to, and I'm going to make one with the whatever I can with him. All right, you guys.
Cool. God bless you guys.